Hi. So today we are going to talk about delegating. So in chapter 6, you've read about delegating. You have already been doing chapters 1 through 5. You are reading from Overwhelmed to I've Got This. We are in the workbook, director workbook that goes with this. In here, like in the other chapters, there is some activities in here. So we are going to take a look at the very first activity, which is what are the first 5 things you should delegate? All right. And as you know, because we've just talked about monkeys, and if you really want to get the most out of the delegating chapter, I suggest you go and listen to some of the podcasts that have been strongly encouraged for you to listen to related to all of the additional monkey podcasts. Also related to delegating, our very first podcast ever was on delegating. So there's some additional content related to delegating as well. As a director, we know you're overwhelmed, and our whole goal is to help you not be overwhelmed. Well, your team is there to help you. The biggest thing your team can do to help you is to help you. And so you have to remember to have them help you. I know, sounds pretty simple and it's not really all that complex, but that really is what delegating is. So delegating involves being clear. Okay, so you have to tell them what you need them to do. Not just what, but how and by when. But also if you want them to use specific tools. So let's start with something really small as an example. If you want them to clean the bathroom a specific way, and you're delegating this responsibility, be clear when you want them to clean the bathrooms, how you want them to clean the bathrooms, if you are somebody who wants the bathrooms cleaned in a specific way. If you want them to go from top to bottom, then you need to be clear that you want them to go from top to bottom. If you want them to use a specific kind of cleaning solutions, not just the kind that you have, not just to the ratios that are in licensing, but if you're really particular, be clear. You know what's even better? Give them a checklist. Even better than that, demonstrate. Give them videos. Show them. Set them up for success. Okay, so you've delegated. You've given them a checklist. You've told them exactly how. You've told them when. The next thing you want to do is to circle back. Not every time. Okay, so if they're cleaning the bathrooms, they're doing the end of the day cleaning of the bathrooms. Check on that once a week. Check in with them maybe once a month and see how it's going. Now, if you notice the very first week that there are some things that aren't being done the way you asked for it to be done, let them know that immediately. Don't wait 3 more weeks, 4 more weeks, 5 more weeks, and then come and complain. Let them know as soon as you recognize that maybe it's not being done the way you demonstrated, the way you've shown them as an example. All right. So this comes to, some people call this conflict, right? They're like, oh, I avoid conflict. This is not conflict. You've given them a list. You've given them an example. All you're doing is clarifying. Okay. So this is that circle around. This is that follow up. This is that follow through. Okay, so this is where that difference comes in a delegating fashion. All right, and so this is where if you wanted to be successful, I don't know about you, but I'm one of those people that sometimes you hear this whole, sometimes it's just easier if I do it myself. Well, you know, it is if you only have to ever do it once. But something like cleaning the bathrooms is something you have to do all the time. So this is where training them to do it the right way the first time makes a lot of sense. So make sure that you give them the list, you demonstrate, you circle back and verify that they're doing it the way you've shown them and demonstrated, and even given them a checklist. Now, does it require a little bit of work to create the checklist, to create the demo? Yeah, it creates a little work. However, you know what? Sometimes that's okay. You need to go ahead and do the work. We want that work done because we want that to be able to be something that you don't have to do anymore. You want to be able to get that off your plate, and it needs to be something that you just continue to be able to not have to worry about, because that's the whole goal of delegating, is to have things that are taken off your plate. So what are some of the things that are natural for us to be able to delegate? So take a look at your weekly to-do list, right? What are the things that are on your to-do list that you just struggle to get done? So if there are things on your to-do list that you struggle to get done every week, those are probably the things you need to figure out how to delegate, because chances are they're the things you don't like to do. Now, if they're the things that only you can do, then you need to figure out why you're not getting them done. Do you not have the skills? Are they things you really don't like to do? Are they things that really maybe you need to automate or you don't have a good system for? But if it's because it's something you really could delegate, then let's do that. Next, I want you to take a look at what are the things that you spend so much time doing that you're thinking, I just hate doing that. It's one of the least favorite things I have that I do at my job. Now, if there are also components of your job that you know other people do really, really well, me, for example, I can do bookkeeping. I don't like to do bookkeeping, but I can because I'm really good at it. I just don't like to do it. Files. I don't like to do files, but I can. So those are two components that for me as a director, I learned to delegate. I hired a bookkeeper. It was so worth it because it was something that I dreaded, and it was something that I always put off. And so as a result of putting it off, it would stress me out. Not only would it stress me out and cause me anxiety, it ended up taking me a pretty long time to do because I would let it really build up. So because I would let it really build up, I would have a lot to do. And then I would try to do it just during my workday. And then I'd get mad at people when they would like interrupt me. They would interrupt my tiger time. And I didn't want my tiger time interrupted. So by hiring a bookkeeper that worked for me 2 hours a week, that was it. 8 hours a month. It was always done. It was done on time. It was done well. My accountant was happy. The parents were happy. Everybody was happy. What was even better is as more and more things got kind of caught up, the more we could automate. And the more we were able to automate, the less time she had to spend doing anything other than really just kind of double checking to make sure things were where they needed to be, and just kind of double check all of the entries. It was great. The other part, you know what? That ended up working itself out too. So all you need to do is take a look at what are the things you put off, and are there ways to find staff who might really enjoy doing that? I've worked with directors for 22 years. And you know what? We have directors who do not like doing newsletters. But you know what? A lot of times they have staff who love to write. We have staff who love doing social media. They love taking photos of the kids. These are the things that we get to really incorporate the staff, and they get to find the things that they are really passionate about your program, and they get to share it with the parents. Doesn't mean it's something that you have to do all the time. It just means that you have to delegate. And sometimes as directors, this is one of the hardest things for us, is to learn to delegate. And if you're not sure you can do this, schedule a time with us. Call us. Let us help you learn to delegate. So right now, I want you to pull out your sheet, pull out your workbook. What are the first 5 things that you should delegate? I want you to take a look at your 4 quadrants on page 52. I need you to brainstorm a list, go through this activity. Trust me, you are going to be so happy that you did this activity. If you haven't already downloaded the workbook, we're not that far into the process. The workbook's optional, but you know what? You are going to get so much more out of this course by downloading that workbook, doing those activities, and getting everything you can out of this course. Like everything, you get out of it what you put into it. We want to make sure that you can go from overwhelmed to I got this, and you can only be the hero that you can be if you put the work into it. So let's do it. You've got this. You can delegate it. See you the next chapter.